Today. It might be Wednesday, but it's also Super Tuesday, with millions of Americans taking one massive leap towards who they'll be choosing as their next president. And somehow Taylor Swift is involved.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
He gives me anxiety.
I voted for Donald Trump.
And I voted for Nikki Haley to cancel out Donald Trump. He's by far the worst candidate.
I don't want Trump to be president again.
From coast to coast, Americans have come out in 15 states and 1 territory to tell Uncle Sam who they want to run for president. And it's clear as mud.
The Biden administration is just a laugh. He's a puppet president.
He doesn't need to be our president again. He's too old.
But our alternative is a total crap.
And it wouldn't be a news story in 2024 if Taylor Swift wasn't somehow involved. Taylor filling a blank space on Instagram with this bejeweled message for her fans.
I wanted to remind you guys to vote the people who most represent you into power. If you haven't already, make a plan to vote today.
Whoa. But for some, it was less about who represents them and more about who doesn't. Some switching sides in an effort to disrupt Donald Trump.
I'm a Democrat, but I put in a vote for Nikki Haley today. I know there's no chance of her getting on the ballot, but I just don't want to vote for Trump.
But despite the protest votes, today's results all but sealed the deal for another Trump-Biden face-off.
Plan B. Let's just kill each other.
Not facing any major competition to lead the Democrats, Biden looks set to win all but one primary.
I'm winning. Another reason I voted for Joe Biden, I think he would be less likely to start a nuclear war.
Donald Trump trumping Nikki Haley in all but a single state.
Our poll numbers are so much higher than Joe Biden's. He's the worst president in the history of our country.
Donald Trump has the answers. We need him. Desperately need him.
But with just a little bit of history repeating, how's America feeling?
I'm tense. I'm tense, if I'm being honest.
And we're going to make America great again, greater than ever before.
Steve Clemons is feeling super this Tuesday, or Wednesday. Steve, it looks like today has locked in Biden and Trump as the two candidates. So just how super is this Tuesday feeling over there?
This is super for Joe Biden and Donald Trump, except in Vermont and American Samoa, where both of them tripped a little bit. But other than that, they won really big.
The other character here, of course, is Nikki Haley, who hasn't pulled out of the contest, but she's not going to be the nominee. The question then becomes, what happens to her voters? So does Biden have any chance of reaching out and grabbing them, or do you think they stay Republicans and fall in behind Trump?
Well, I mean, there's always the chance of that. The fact is, depending on which state you look at, Nikki Haley won Vermont, but in a lot of states she won 35-40% of the vote. Some places she was down at 20%. If they're voting for Nikki Haley at this point on Super Tuesday, that is a Trump protest vote. Those are voters that do not want to go to Donald Trump. So maybe they stay home, and that affects Donald Trump's turnout. Maybe they go to Joe Biden. He's going to have to work hard to get them. But it's a very important thing to pay attention to the fact that Nikki Haley's in this race. But it does show that while Donald Trump was wildly dominant in this race, those votes for Nikki Haley do not want him as president.
Well, it seems like no one in America wants the Trump versus Biden contest. So how did you end up here?
Look, my view is you've got a kind of structural fix in the party, in both parties, in the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, where the most extreme participants in Democrats and Republicans choose the choices, whereas most Americans are not involved in the primaries. They did not vote today. They're sitting at home watching these results and saying, how did we get here? And they're not involved. So you've got basically the extremes of both parties choosing the choices that they have in November, and that leaves a lot of Americans out, and people wake up with a big headache.
Oof. All right. Well, let's get back to Trump for a second. I'm interested in this. He's got a lot of legal fees that he's copped over the year. How's he going to fund this 2024 presidential campaign? Is he going to start a GoFundMe or something?
Well, there are rumors out there that he's met Elon Musk. You know, he's been talking about maybe driving a Tesla. The bottom line, though, is the Republican National Committee, which has been unable to give Donald Trump all the money that it has stored up because he's still being challenged by Nikki Haley. Eventually, she's going to go away, and he's going to have a lot of money to bring into this campaign from the RNC. So it's not, and he'll spend a good chunk of it on his legal fees.
As always, thanks for your time, Steve.
My pleasure.
So I really take Steve's point on the idea that, like, extremes of the parties have taken over the primary process, and so they put these candidates in that most people don't actually want. I just don't think that actually works for the Democrat side of it, because Joe Biden's not the extreme of the Democrat Party. Like, that would be AOC or Bernie Sanders or someone like that. I mean, he's the incumbent, and the problem is you can't challenge a sitting president, right? You begin to look like the whole thing's falling apart.
It seems rude almost to challenge a sitting president.
He's getting on.
Yeah, sure. No, I get that point, but the Democrats probably don't have the option really, because imagine, like, he does win through that primary contest, and now all you've got is a party that said we don't really like the president.
Yeah.
And then it's.
But a couple of years ago, I let my grandpa drive me somewhere. He wanted to drive, and after the drive, I thought, I'll do the second half of this drive.
Yeah, right.
You hop in the back, Pa.
Yeah, right. Sure.
We're hitting a few things. We hit the curb when we parked.
Yeah.
You touch parking, Pa. You're getting on. Biden's getting on.
If only Biden's son was, available for this sort of thing.
Or if only Nick was available to be a Democrat advisor. That would be the strangest political advice of all time.
Got a good beard. I make poo jokes. Come on.